Hey everybody, welcome to West Coast Massholes. Josh Wingate just disappeared for a sec, but now he's back. Hey everybody. So
That was magic trick.
very good,
Ah,
very good. We had a lot of technical issues on my end. I don't know why. My computer went wonky, so now I'm on my wife's computer.
yeah. Rumor has it that Blursh is lost all its legs. They're filing for bankruptcy, and therefore, they had to cut back on some funding and on some of their budgets. So
Yeah, that
things are happening. It's tough times, but here we're trying our best.
we're doing our best, and we're zooming, so
Yeah.
we're freezing, and it's wonky, and I keep moving around because everything is so cobbled together. It's all very cobbled together.
Mm-hmm.
But here we are. What are we talking about? Did you get in any masshole type of trouble this week? Were you being a masshole to anybody, like online or whatever?
Let's a little, yes.
What? Tell me
A
about
little,
it.
yes. I have a Facebook acquaintance who will only post out things and graffiti.
So
And
I lost you for a
I'm
moment there.
like,
She always posts things.
what about? Sorry, there's a moment of anger. She only posts things about buildings and property and like how atrocious it is that graffiti is put on buildings from people who protest or whatever or looting and rioting. And she posted something about Portland. And I was like, yeah, real shame about those buildings. Never mind that people are being assaulted and abducted, and their constitutional rights are just being completely, ignored. But we'll just ignore all that and focus on those poor buildings. So it wasn't received very well because I didn't care enough about concrete walls, and I care more about human beings. So
That's
it wasn't
crazy.
received
So
well.
she was mad because protests had like put graffiti on walls or something?
Yeah, people, not good people. These aren't tax-paying people. Well, one, you have no idea if they pay their taxes or not. Two, people are outraged for a good reason, and yet there's all these videos, and I was accused of reading too much leftist media. I said, listen, I don't have to read anything to watch a video of an American citizen being assaulted by men in camouflage, in full camo, and full like military, with no insignias, being beaten, and him not resisting, him not fighting, just being smashed. I don't have to read a damn piece of any propaganda. I can see with my own eyes that's fucked up. And I can see with my own eyes that a man fucking murdered somebody with his knee on his fucking neck. I don't need to see what fucking media channel it fucking came from, left or right, motherfucker. I care about people. I don't give a fuck about your buildings, She's like, we're being played. Watch this video from this woman in Yugoslavia about
What? Wait, Josh.
fucking our government.
Josh.
Yeah.
You're frozen, and you keep your audio keeps dropping out. I'm really frustrated because I feel your passion, and then you freeze, and it goes gong, 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 and I know you're still angrily monologuing, and I can't hear it. I don't know why it's so wonky today.
Let me make sure all my fucking Wi-Fi pieces are off. Stand by.
Okay.
Pausing.
You're figuring.
Pausing. Massholes. Hold the fuck on. I don't know if this is going to help. I don't know. I was just on a rant. Doesn't fucking matter. Who cares about angry white guys anyways? It must be my misogyny, caring about people or building. And no, it blows me away too. She's I don't want to out her too much, but she's a, what's that?
Oh,
What
I
the
was
fuck
just
is
resuming
going
the
on?
clock.
Blursh Productions. Oh, okay. Resuming clock. I don't know, man. I don't know what was fucking heard. It's just some bullshit, man. The shit that people care about and so passionately put forth, like this disgrace about buildings. I'm like, but and she's Jewish, and I'm like, I wonder if people that were being attacked right now were sought out because of their Jewishness. Would you still be complaining about buildings and property and
That's a
people
really
tagging graffiti?
that's a solid question. I had a debate with a relative of mine about my use of the word Nazi to describe certain politicians working in the White House.
Uh-huh.
And she very vehemently argued against my use of it. She said they're not really Nazis. They haven't started rounding up Jewish people. And I guess that was where the cutoff was. I mean, for her, unless you have exterminated 6 million or more Jewish people while you're ruling a country, then you haven't proven yourself to be a Nazi.
So
But
they're just not worthy of the title yet, is what they're saying.
yeah, which is a weird, I don't get that argument, but I'm not Jewish. She is. So I kind of have to, I guess, acquiesce.
Mm-hmm.
But then a week after that, after our illustrious president actually said anti-Semitic things, then she changed her mind. Then she was like, oh, I guess you were right. It's like, all right. So I'm better at recognizing Nazis than you are before they bite us in the ass. I don't know. People are, it's weird how
I
people
guess so.
get semantic arguments about this shit.
It really is. And no, it's what I find ironic too is that guy, that weird looking, what's his name? I can't even, he looks like a friggin' reptile. He's in charge of the immigration shit. He's the one like all about like the border separating under Trumpy there. He's Jewish as well. And he's like enacting on all these Nazi ideas. It's like, it just blows me away how I guess it doesn't even, truthfully, I could give a fuck what religion you are. I really couldn't care less. I just bring it up because people tend to get more involved when it affects them personally, and
That's
on
true.
an individual level, so, in this woman's defense, she was a business owner for very many years, had her own business. So maybe that's important to her, and I can't take that away from her. That's, of course, businesses are built and operated and run by people, and people put their time and energy. And of course, you don't want to see these businesses get smashed and burnt to the ground or tagged up. I understand that. And I have empathy and compassion for that. If I owned a storefront, I wouldn't want it all fucked up because of the protest. That being said, I can rebuild and I can repaint it. But somebody, I cannot.
You're breaking up on me again.
Traumatic experience.
Okay, I lost you again at the end there, but I think the point that you're making is they're very empathetic. You have empathy, you have sympathy for people who've had property ruined or had neighborhoods messed up or whatever.
Yes.
But that's a symptom of a disease, which is, in my mind, it's white supremacy is the disease, is the cancer that's really affecting this country on a lot of levels. And I recently got into some masshole things just because I was making masshole comments on Facebook and Twitter and stuff about learning pods, which is where in for my son and my wife who's a school teacher, their schools are going to be doing distance learning for the year, which I think is the only logical choice to make, given the fact that we're in the middle of a global pandemic. That's the best way for kids to get schooling and not spread this disease further. And then, this pod learning started happening, small startup businesses. It's become like an overnight cottage industry. getting, you know, 6 or 7 kids together in conjunction with the distance learning and having a teacher there. So if you're doing that, you're entirely negating the whole reason distance learning has been put into place. You are exposing, and I understand it, because there's single moms, there's people who have jobs. It's hard to take care of your kids. Nobody who had 3 kids, 4 kids, 5 kids was thinking, oh, what if there's a global pandemic? I get that. Nobody could see that coming. But the fact is that just straight basic fact is the reason why a school chooses to have distance learning is to stop the spread of the virus. Now, your pod is not as big as a classroom. It's 6 kids instead of 24. I get that. It's a fraction.
But it's also way smaller than the population of the school in between classes and traveling to and fro. Now you're talking not just 24, you're talking hundreds, if not thousands.
Well, right. It's the same. I mean, for me, I mean, you make your choices, and I can't stop you from making your choices, but I will point out to you that your choice is entirely negating something that a lot of other people are doing, and it's a sacrifice for them. Nobody wants to be doing the distance learning. It's harder that way, but people are doing it. They're making the sacrifice, and because you think your set of circumstances is more difficult than other people's, that you have a right to take these risks. And I'm not saying that people can't take these risks and be really good about vetting who comes to the house and are they all isolated and we're all in agreement that we're all isolated. But can you really trust 6 different families if they're willing to do pod learning to like remain isolated and not also socialize on the weekends or after school or whatever? I mean, if you trust people like that, then you've got a very, very trustworthy clan of friends. Because I got friends who I love, who I know have been not vigilant about a lot of these things. So I just, to me, it's in the end of it, it's negating the social distance learning and exposing people to the virus. I've lost.
Yeah, I understand your point. I understand your.
Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
I understand your point and your point of view. I understand your point of view. I also see, I guess, some of the, and I'm not disagreeing with you, but I also see some other aspects too of, and it's a emotional health and as well, and for how challenging it's been for children and certain families and stuff, and how just having some maintaining it, if it's done well and safely, having that interaction, how important that is for just the human psyche, never mind just children's psyche too. And I know that problem because we haven't flattened any curve. We're not even in wave 2. We're still not even in wave 1, just because the United States was just a bunch of fucking fucktards and we're all just going and doing what we want.
Right. I mean, and again, I understand that point, and that's why I'm empathetic to people having learning pods. They have reasons. They have good reasons to have learning pods, but it doesn't change the fact that it negates the social distance, the distance learning. It negates the reason for it. I'm sorry, it does. No matter what the reasons are.
I mean, I guess it does. I mean, you could argue that it's far less contact and far less, maintenance. Like a school, how would you maintain the cleanliness and the sanitation of a school versus, you meet in a park with 6 kids 9 feet apart and you do some stuff. You feel like it's a lot easier to maintain cleanliness and distance there. Yeah, I get what you're saying. I do, and I see.
I
see both sides of it,
If there was I see. I mean, like I said, I understand the reasons people are doing it, but it doesn't change the fact that now they're exposing their children within pods or going to expose their children within pods to other children who are then exposed to their family members, and on and on and on and on. So
yeah.
So, and I get all the reasons for it. I get all the reasons for saying "fuck you, Gavin Newsom," and keeping your restaurant open. There's a lot of very good reasons to do that. But you know, it negates the social distancing. It negates the mandates. There's reasons for the mandates. There's reasons we have to wear masks. There's reasons we have to social distance. There's reasons we have to isolate. It's because there's a fucking pandemic. And if we don't start doing it more vigilantly and more hardcore for an extended period of time, it's just going to keep getting worse. It's like we had our soft closing where most businesses were closed, and then a soft reopening. And what happened? Now we have sick servers, sick bartenders, sick, you know, it's all over the country. And when they've opened up schools in other countries around the world, they've had giant outbreaks among children. Oh, there goes George Takei in the middle of my my rant. But I like I say, I understand it. I hope that the people who are making these choices understand the risk that they're taking, that they're putting their children and the risk they're putting everybody they know to, that the other people in their lives aren't necessarily voluntarily taking. So it's very difficult. It's a difficult scenario. This whole thing is hard and difficult, but that doesn't, the only way we're going to get through this is if we all make the sacrifices and figure out how to do this without spreading further things. I mean, we have our lives to live, and it sucks that the federal government isn't helping us. And the federal government, if
they're cutting it out, they're cutting everybody off. Yeah, I
know. And people are being forced back to work, and that fucking sucks. You know, it feels like an untenable situation, but with pod learning, there may be a better way. There may be a way that you can handle social distance learning. Especially if you're working out of your home, I don't see the reason for pod learning. If you have to go into an office, that's another thing, and that's a thing that really you should take up with your employer, because your employer is being a dick. And like any employer who's forced people back to work at this point is a questionable entity, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. And then you got it's a fucking tough situation. And you're right though, with the feds next month, no more 600 from the feds. That's going to fuck up a lot of people.
Yeah. They're forcing people back to work. That's what they're doing.
It's not
which will spread the virus. We've seen it. We've seen it exemplified. The numbers are clear. The patterns are clear. It's so clear. It's not a hoax. It's not a joke. Anyone who says that has their head buried in the sand, is just not accepting reality. And the government is accepting reality and is manipulating the population to die so they and their corporations can make money. And that's it. That's it.
Yep.
And it sucks. But if you have no choice and you have to have a learning pod, I know those situations exist, and hopefully we can keep the numbers of those pods down. But if you are one of these people who just feels inconvenienced, it's too much to juggle, then I don't know. I think you're part of the problem. But that's me.
Mm-hmm. And you're a white guy, so shut up. Right?
I'm a white guy. I'm a white guy talking about privileged white people making bad decisions. That's what I'm doing. I can criticize white people.
Yeah.
Because the people I was talking to about this were white people. They're not people of color.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've gone over time. Should we say "fuck you, Nazis" and can this technologically spotty episode? Fuck you, Nazis. Fuck off.
Fuck you, Nazis.
Fuck you, guys.
Fuck you.
It always feels good. All right. Thanks, Josh.
It does.
This has been a Blursh production. Blur.